Yeah, I mean that's one thing that the Marvel movies have definitely done right is they've they've embraced that aspect of the villain being able to defeat the heroes and then putting them on their heels, and now they have to find a way to overcome those odds. And you can do that in your tabletop role playing game. You don't have to kill your player characters, but you can at least defeat them in one way or another, whether they were if they have some other mission that's, say, maybe unrelated to the villain. The villain can completely foil their plan and make them fail in that mission. You know, not acquire an item that they're looking for, not save the life of a character that they're trying to save, not get to their destination that they're trying to get to. Whatever it is, the villain can be involved in stopping them from doing that, and that is one way for to give the villain a victory without killing the player characters outright. And that, trust me, that will be enough to make them angry. And one a tip here for doing that, and you guys in horror issues of landing, there's one I incorporated this in book one of the campaign, where one of the villains kills one of the player character's favorite NPCs. In fact, in the book, I put their favorite NPC specifically because the heroes.
It was so impactful too when we played it.
You
Oh
guys
man,
were mad. You guys were
oh
so
we
mad.
were so ticked off. We
It is
wanted blood. 'Cause
more
we
impactful.
loved the character who got killed. We loved that character. It was a barkeep, and he was so awesome. He was hilarious, and man, we just loved hanging out and just talking with him, you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's dead. Oh man.
Yeah, sometimes that has more of an impact than killing a player character. Because sometimes a player might be kind of getting tired of that character and they will let that character die anyways. And so that sometimes doesn't have an impact. But killing an NPC, it's like you don't have, the players don't have as much control over that, especially if it happens off screen. If they just hear about it, you know, incorporating a couple of these things, the villain's shadow, you know, the working behind the scenes, plus the impact of the villain defeating the heroes in that way. And they can't do anything about it, right? They can't do anything about it. And that really makes them mad and makes them hate that villain so much and makes that villain really impactful and fun to finally fight against once the heroes get the chance to face them face to face.
Exactly. And linking back to the shadow, to the first point that we brought up, right? Is resisting the urge to show everything, to show your full hand, right? As far as the villain is concerned, it players like to, first of all, they like to solve things on their own, so they don't like to be spoon fed anything. You know, you give them little breadcrumbs here and there, and they like to find their own way. So you don't want to over explain. You don't want to show everything that the villain is capable of. You want to give them rumors and let them try to make ends of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that basically ties into the next point, which is letting fear travel through the NPCs. This is a really cool one to use. This is a great tool. Basically, not just the villagers that we talked about earlier in Curse of Strahd, talking about Strahd. That is one way to carry the name of the villain through the NPCs, or fear of the villain through the NPCs. But another way is like events that have occurred. So like the PCs can go into a town and meet a party that may be even more powerful than they are. So and you can do this with like arm wrestling contests, and the person that arm wrestles them beats them easily, or sparring, non-lethal sparring match, and the NPC party defeats the heroes easily. So the players know that these guys are much stronger and better than them. And then maybe a week later, one of them comes back into town bleeding, almost dying, or dies, and as they're dying, they tell the player characters that it was the villain and he killed the whole party. And now the players know, damn, these guys beat us, and this guy has annihilated these guys, right? Or they can go into a cavern and find this party dead. They just find their corpses, and they find some kind of evidence that it was the villain who did that. Like, those are some really, really cool way to do it. Maybe
Marvel